think so, yeah. We are recording.
Oh my hell. Season 3 episode. Alright. First attempt at recording the podcast. You guys are going to get the raw footage, bloopers and all. Got a bowl of fruit.
Good job, Evan. You're eating your fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's episode 10.
Alright.
You're going to chew right into the mic.
Welcome back to the Take It to Leavitt podcast. I'm your host, Evan Leavitt.
And I'm the other host, Sam Leavitt.
I wouldn't call you a co-host, but we're super pumped to
Thanks.
give you guys our spiel and our ideas on gardening.
Dun dun dun!
This is how it goes, guys.
Yep. Now Evan drags in the intro.
You guys actually aren't going to hear anything because it's all in our ears. So if we're not talking, you're going to... What? The F was that? Gosh, why did it do? Why, it just like automatically deletes everything? Alrighty. Do you want to jump into this one?
Sure.
Alright. 3, 2. What are you looking at?
Sorry.
3, 2.
Like Evan said, this episode is all about our experience with gardening. My mom said that we should do this episode.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, MJ. You're the best. We also are doing our first episode recorded live.
Yeah, quote unquote live.
If
That's
you
going to
wanna-
be posted later.
Basically, if you want to see the sides of our faces talking, or now I'm kind of facing. Okay, so that's going to be available on YouTube. Probably won't be posted at the same time
Nope.
as this episode, but we'll figure
We'll
it
post
out.
this episode tonight, guys, for our listeners who like to listen on Tuesdays. We're going to keep trying to post consistently and frequently so that those who have to commute, those who are stuck at home during this crisis, have something to maybe do or listen to while they're doing their everyday tasks.
You can take us along for your laundry or for your dishes or for laying down and doing nothing but listening or watching on YouTube if that's what you like.
So we thought about doing this episode after obviously getting the suggestion, but I love gardening.
Why do you love gardening, Evan?
I don't know. It's been one of those things where I've always kind of been a homemaker. It comes down to I've always been a fan of making things myself, learning how the process works, and then doing it. Sam got a little taste of that after we had started dating. I got on a huge butter trend, so I learned how to make butter from scratch.
I've got to share those on our Take It or Love It because they are hilarious.
I got stuck on YouTube and I was like, wow, it's actually this easy to make butter. Granted, easy and exhausting. But there's not a whole lot of steps that,
The concept is simple, but the execution is quite difficult and exhausting.
But it gives you the opportunity to try a ton of new things with butter. Now, that being said, when I was living in California with my family, we had a small yard compared to what we have here in Georgia, and we had a little brick garden with rose bushes at one point and marigolds, which is one of my mom's favorite flowers. And after we extended it to the property line, and in California, as many of you know who live in cookie cutter house neighborhoods, you don't have a whole lot of yard. So we had a small little garden section. I'd probably say it was 6 feet by 3 feet, and then another 6 feet by 3 feet. So you're talking 18 square feet.
So how old were you when that garden started?
I had to have been in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade.
Okay.
Around that time period, because it was a little bit before we moved. But I was also old enough and mature enough to handle the garden by myself. Now that doesn't mean I did it all alone. We planted, in this small area, bell peppers, pickling cucumbers, radishes, and carrots.
Ew, radishes. Blah.
Now, I don't know what happened. Our carrots ended up being about this big, and in the camera I'm gesturing to about 3 inches, and they were really fat, but not
So
like...
they were like baby carrots, but they were supposed
but
to
they
be...
were grown like carrots. So they looked like
carrots.
ugly little dwarf carrots. And radishes grew normal because radishes are supposed to be that small. The pickling cucumbers were by far the most amazing thing in that garden. They grew phenomenally. And I thought it was the coolest thing because my dad then taught me how to jar
Technically be
cucumbers.
pickling cucumbers.
Yeah, well,
You
we
pickled
basically
them.
got jars, we got a big pot, and we learned how to season and prepare these cucumbers to be pickles. And,
So why do you emphasize jarring instead of...
well, I guess the common phrase is to can. Canning is a load of garbage because tomatoes come in a can, green beans can come in a can, but it's called a mason jar, not a mason can.
All
Therefore, we are going to jar the cucumbers, not can them. But anyway, sorry, I just kicked the microphone because we've really packed ourselves in tight right
in
now.
such a small corner.
It was one of those things where I did it from beginning to finish. I didn't buy these plants half grown. We planted them from seeds. And California, granted, it was probably a little easier because the climate is amazing in Temecula or near San Diego, for those of you who don't know where Temecula is. It was such a feeling, and I was so proud that the fact that I went from beginning to like literal end of this process.
Didn't you share your pickled
Yeah,
cucumbers
so
with people?
in our church, we took the
Pickles.
cucumbers and gave them to a ton of people, and we called them kickles because we made them a little spicy, and they were really pickly at first, and then you got the heat. And so it was, I can't take a lot of credit for the seasoning because my dad knew how to do most of it because his grandmother was a homemaker as well, which is where I think I got the trait from. So when we started living in Rexburg, we had, well, a small little hoopla in the windowsill.
Did we grow? We grew like
I had-
herbs
yeah,
with herbs.
That's a garden.
So we grew mint, and it died. Thanks, Hannah Bluth. Sorry.
All your fault, Hannah. You killed my plant. And then you gave me...
Was it basil or
no,
rosemary?
it was rosemary,
Yeah.
which doesn't ever need water.
Yeah, I know. Mint, very delicate plant. Rosemary, built like the rock.
But no, we had a small little garden. Sam had some aloe vera.
I did. I missed my aloe vera plant. I should get another one. What? Why are you
You're
looking at
still
me like
sitting
that?
super far away from that microphone.
Okay, sorry.
Right. You gotta do this, babe. You gotta sit close to the microphone. You see how close I am? This is you. The gain we've turned down now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know if I'd... Oh, wait. I don't know if I'd let you have another aloe vera plant because you're already hesitant to take care of the garden.
I'm not hesitant to take care of it.
Anyway, when we started to think about moving to Georgia, we wanted to have a garden because Georgia is one of those places that has a really great climate during the spring, summer, and fall for growing. Winters aren't super harsh, so you can still grow things. They're just not as...
Yeah, we ran into a guy who grows kale year round.
Yeah.
There's like this special kale ecosystem in his backyard. He's really passionate about it. We met him at Home Depot.
But the garden idea we tried when we first got married. We had a small little box garden that we made that Dozer tore to shreds, and it grew some stuff.
That one's on our. Oh, that one might be on my personal.
But it didn't
Instagram.
grow as well as we wanted it to. So obviously, when you don't succeed, you try again.
Cute.
Our neighbor Fred, who lives on the right of us, moved away, and he
I
had
was gonna say
built.
his name's not Fred anymore.
He had built this huge, like staggered lifted garden out of brick and great soil and all this. And I knew that the neighbors weren't currently using, the neighbors that moved in after Fred, weren't currently using the garden for anything. Mm-hmm. So we had the idea that, it was like week 1 that we got here.
We had your mom ask before we even got
Yeah.
here.
And we're like, hey, can we use this garden? We know you're not going to. And of course, we're going to share the produce when we get it. Mm-hmm. We're going to see how much produce we actually get because
Maybe they'll only get a cucumber out of this.
we'll see where it goes. But we decided, you know what, let's use that space because at our land, Georgia clay is kind of the inhibitor to growing things in Georgia because the clay is so dense and it's hard to grow. You have to really treat the soil.
So what did we do to treat the soil?
We bought a bunch of,
ears.
I mix a lot of I don't really believe in there's potting soil and then there's not potting soil and there's earth soil and earth soil. Like you can't put potting soil in the ground. I think a lot of it can be mixed around. Now, granted, we learned a lot about the acidity of the level and the pH levels and all this for certain plants to grow in this, and you have to have 2 different blueberry plants in order for them to blueberry or to. It was complicated. We went back to the roots.
We didn't plant blueberries.
We said,
needless to say.
Blueberries are also really expensive if you buy them from Pikes. So we got a couple bags of basically soil because there was dirt already over there, and it wasn't Georgia clay. It was previously, what do you call it, garden soil. So it probably lacked some amount of nutrients. So
but I'd say it had eroded a bit, so there was still some that was like pretty dense clay.
Yeah, and we had
depending on which planter part they were in.
Yeah, we had to weed all up in there. So we basically just gutted the entire things. All the planters. There's about, 9, 10 sections?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're using 6 of them.
We're using about 6. So
the other 4 are either too low, so they get too much water, or they're too high and they like eroded backwards. There's just like not enough surface area of dirt.
Yeah, and we've noticed that some of them stay much more wet than others because of the elevation on where the garden sits. And we cleaned them out. We poured bags of soil, pretty much 1 in each, and then turned all the soil together and didn't even plant anything in there. We planted everything in the small little individual pots, kind of like little biodegradable pots. And things were sprouting. Things were good. Winter didn't really go away. It came back. It kind of came back with a vengeance, and then it rained for like a month and a half straight this year. It's been a really weird year, just in general.
Spring now has really good.
Yeah, it's coming in really good. So after we finally decided, okay, we're going to do this, that, and the other.
I think, so we planted plants in the little biodegradable pots in...
It was like February.
Yeah, it was... Well, you hadn't started work yet. I'm pretty sure it was January when we planted those.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were so excited. Like we said, we asked if we could use the garden before we even got here. So we planted those. I think we waited for a little bit too long to replant them in the real big boy
We
garden.
might have stunted them.
And then they didn't end up... Some of them grew bigger. Most of them died.
Yeah.
Which was really sad.
It was sad. I mean, when you buy seeds, you get tons of seeds. But we then moved all the ones that we had left that were still alive into the planter box. We didn't know what plant was what.
Yeah,
so we
no.
kind of just, whichever ones looked similar.
Don't label with a Crayola marker.
Yeah, I don't know why Sam picked that. Keep the bags and keep them organized. Do your best. That's a tip we can throw out.
We should just put popsicle sticks with like colors on them or something.
I say because you could do more Sharpie on there and rain go away.
Sharpie wouldn't rub away as fast. You just
I
do
did
colors.
Sharpie on the pots, and the pots don't have it anymore. The habanero and that one.
I didn't know you did Sharpie. Wow.
Stop using markers, everybody. Don't use a marker. Keep the bags. Put them in the dirt. So
We know for sure we're growing kale,
cucumbers, squash,
cabbage,
beets. Radishes.
Radishes.
Beets. That's what I meant.
zucchini.
But we don't know where stuff is.
Well, okay, so 2 planters, we don't know what they are.
We know radishes are obvious, and then
We're not growing radishes.
Beets are obvious, but the squash is also obvious.
Yeah, because we put those in later. Because
And the kale's obvious.
the kale has become obvious. The ruffled leaves, very distinct.
I ain't eating that crap. That's the garbage.
I freaking love kale.
So we moved it all over, and the garden is doing so well right now. It's growing really consistently. We water them. It rains enough to where if we forget, it's not the end of the world. Yesterday we took the hose to them. I went by today, and the ground is still pretty wet. We turn the soil and have to weed. There's these really pesky weeds that are just kind of surface growers.
They're really tiny.
But we really want to have this garden not only to benefit from what you could call organic fruits and vegetables. No fruits, just vegetables, because fruits are much more difficult to grow.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do it because we like to work together, and in a way it helps build our relationship along with giving us something to do other than social media, TV, video games, podcasting. It gets us outside because right now, spring, it's really nice, and we can't really go anywhere because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, we totally knew coronavirus was happening, which is why we started gardening.
Oh, yeah.
So we would have a hobby to do afterwards.
It was sent upon our brains that there was going to be some sort of...
Now that there's a camera, you're like way more emotive.
Well, it's because now I know people are going to see my hands and shiz.
Yeah.
Before it was like, oh, well, here I am podcasting, doing that thing. Gotta keep on podcasting. Just keep on going.
Did we just watch Rick and Morty? Yes, we did.
We watched all the seasons, except for season 4 because they don't have it on Hulu. But that's beside the point.
So we want to plant some more plants because we have other planters.
We've got more space.
Yeah, we've got 2 more planters we're not yet using, but we've kind of ran out of plants that we like.
We also just barely moved from pots.
Oh, yeah.
Habanero, ají from Peru that we got in New Mexico, and jalapenos.
And bell peppers.
All 3 of those? Oh, we have 1 habanero, that's right.
Yeah.
And 1
We
bell
also
pepper.
have spinach growing on the porch.
Which kind of stinks because we love bell peppers, but I always grow them, and I actually think it's probably cheaper and easier to buy them. I hate to be that guy, but they know what they're doing when it comes to bell peppers. Now, red and yellow and orange bell peppers tend to get pricey. We grew purple bell peppers last time.
They were
and
disgusting.
Don't do purple bell peppers.
They're not sweet at all. They're just like...
watery and gross.
Yeah.
It was like...
There's no like
plant.
acidity or like brightness to it.
Yeah, no flavor.
It was gross. Last time we also grew squash. That was about it. And banana peppers. Do you remember the banana peppers
Those were
last
also
time we were
disgusting.
here? They were banana. All you
Flavorless.
do with banana peppers is pickle them. So I don't know why we even grew them because neither of us really eat banana peppers.
Yeah,
but
it was just in a way, it's almost like therapeutic to garden. It gives you that time outside to care and nurture something else. That obviously it's not a pet. It's not I don't know what you call it, but it's something that is counting on you to live. Mm-hmm. And it brings that kind of peace of mind. Like, oh, I can go outside.
Does that mean you want to
and
have
garden.
kids?
No,
so
not
you
yet.
can
No.
have something
Nope.
that can count on you to live.
No, because if I don't, it dies. And the plants died, didn't they?
Okay,
The plants died because of us.
some of them did die. Yes.
So we're working through some things. Sam doesn't like to weed the garden, even though she wants the garden so bad.
I love fruits and vegetables.
I've noticed Sam just wants the end result.
Well, I do pretty good at the hoeing and like the turning of the soil, and I do good at watering, but the weeding part.
Yeah, well, you can't do any of that until you weed.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that I hate weeding. I have always hated weeding.
Well, I think we all hate weeding.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, you know what? I really.
If you're
feel
out
like
there
some
and
weed.
you love weeding, you know what? You're a rare breed.
Go read a book or something.
Well, so I love the idea of a garden, but I also love the idea of like.
She loves the idea of a garden. Let's put it.
Nuh-uh, I love the garden, Evan. I can love it and still hate parts of it too. But someday I hope we can have chickens and cows.
I don't want chickens and I don't want cows. Because guess what?
Okay, 2
I'm gonna
cows,
be the one taking
2
care
cows,
of them.
4 chickens. You won't be the only one. We're gonna enlist our children. They'll have to milk the cow.
Oh, so you believe in slave labor?
No, I believe in teaching our kids to have stronger work
Are you gonna
ethic than
pay 'em?
I do. In eggs and milk.
Slave labor.
Evan,
Guys-
of course, once they get old enough, yeah.
I think what we're trying to get across with this episode, not only was it requested by a listener,
AKA my mom.
find something that you guys like to do that almost brings like peace of mind, takes you away from the hullabaloo and the busyness of life. It kind of can help you separate. If it's even just like, I like to go for a bike ride, it's that exercise. It's, you know what, I like to... Knitting, sure. I was going to go with like, you like to tediously prepare a salad. Like, you chop up the lettuce, you get the fruits and vegetables. You get the vegetables prepared.
People
for the
put
salad,
fruit in their
and
salad.
then you toss it. It's like anything that can help you kind of therapeutically and healthily, therapeutically and
Healthily. Stop saying it like, stop. Healthily.
healthily,
Oh my gosh.
healthily
They know what you're saying.
separate from the daily stress, the daily anxiety, the daily pressures that you might feel, even if they aren't always there. It helps you separate from just kind of the pressures and angst from life. Gardening is one of those tools that we use. I use it. Again, if we go back way back in the beginning of the podcast, When I was in accounting, I used comic books.
Yeah. That's Maximum Carnage episode 3. Not a whole lot of listens on that one.
No one likes that one.
Well, it's because it's called Maximum Carnage and everybody's like, what does that even mean? I don't know if I want to listen to them.
Everyone knows what carnage means.
But, well, then, Evan, but like, why would Sam and Evan do a podcast episode about that? Stop it. So, and I would say that during different times I've used exercise as a therapeutic thing, like gardening, healthily, using my health. Yeah.
Guys, basically we're just sharing with you another tip or another thing that we do to help kind of balance our life. And that comes off super pretentious, but we struggle just as much as any of you who are listening, and we have to find ways to kind of cope with the daily stresses, the daily challenges that we face.
Having stuff to look forward to is a really big thing.
We hope that you guys look forward to this podcast. We hope you guys enjoy listening. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to ask. We are getting a few people to suggest or ask for episodes. We're so thankful for that. If you guys want to reach out, you know where to reach us out at. Take It to Leavitt Podcast at gmail.com or on our handles, which are both Take It to Leavitt Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. If you do like this podcast, share it with your friends and family, and hopefully they can get some benefits out of it.
Also, leave a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. That would be amazing. Thanks for listening. Go out and start a garden.
Have a good week, guys.
All right. Peace out, YouTubers. That's not the right button.